Her insinuation hung in the air. Thick and venomous. My voice trembled with rage. What was I doing, Dahlia? Faced with my hysteria, her expression remained chillingly calm. You don't have to ask me. You know what you did. I took a deep breath, trying to quell the fire in my chest. She was still my daughter. Deep down, I still loved her. I pulled out our old family photo album. A happy, loving family. A sweet, adorable Dahlia. I never could have imagined she would turn into this. Back then, Mark hadn't yet taken on this deep cover case. 3 years ago, he had to change his name. His entire identity for this international operation. Her father was her hero, the person she admired most in the world. I tried to appeal to that love. Delia, look. Look how happy we were. Your dad should be back next year. The first thing we'll do is take a new family photo. She snatched the photo from my hand. Took a pair of scissors and cut my image out of it. She carefully placed the picture of just her and her father back in the album and gently wiped it with a soft cloth. She gave me a cold look, her voice low but sharp as a razor. You don't deserve to talk about him. For to be spoken to as such. Venom by the child I had nurtured and loved. It was like being flayed alive. She continued, her voice flat. Her words designed to inflict maximum pain. Mom, Dad would be so disappointed to see you like this. Dad is a hero. It's been 223 days since he left. When he comes back, we'll never be apart again. As for you, you can go wherever you want. I feel dirty just being near someone with your loose morals. Before he took this case, our life was sweet. Mark doted on Dahlia, treated her like a princess. She was always the proudest kid in her class because her dad was a cop. But when duty called, he didn't hesitate. Dahlia cried for 3 days and 3 nights when he left. But because of the sensitive nature of his mission, we couldn't tell her the truth. The people he was after were ruthless. If his cover was blown, our entire family would be in mortal danger. Because we couldn't explain why he left. Dahlia jumped to her own conclusion. That our marriage was falling apart. She had asked me countless times, Mom, are you having an affair? Is that why Dad left? And every time, I would give her the same answer. Dad is on a very important assignment. He'll be back as soon as he's done. She was skeptical, but she would count the days waiting for his return. But the case was complex, with international ties. And the timeline kept getting extended. Dahlia stopped believing me. She became convinced that I had cheated on him. That I had driven him away. Looking at her familiar yet alien face, my heart sank. I demanded that she take down all the posts about me. She didn't argue. And for a moment I thought I had gotten through to her. That her conscience had finally kicked in. The next day, I realized how wrong I was. Situation was infinitely worse. They had doxed Mark. It was his undercover name. But it was still him. The post was vile. Undercover agent Mark Dalton. Caught in late-night tryst with married woman. This is a disgrace to the force. We demand an official explanation. They had tagged the local government's official account. And they had included a picture of him. A clear shot of his profile. The moment I saw it, my blood ran cold. The whole reason he had changed his name was because he had made too many enemies in his line of work. Exposing him like this was a death sentence. I ran to find my daughter. Take that post down right now. Take it down. A smirk played on her lips. What's the matter? Worried about your lover? You two were on a late-night date. If I won't tolerate it from you, what makes you think I'll let him get away with it? Every minute that post was up, his life was in more danger. People in the comments were already trying to dig up more information on him. My voice was shaking. Do whatever you want to me. I won't fight you. Just please take down the post about Mark. I'm begging you. She just laughed. Still denying it. You did something disgusting. Just admit it. Here's the deal. You post a public statement online confessing that you're a whore. That you cheated on Dad and drove him away. And that you're sorry. Post it for 3 days straight. Then maybe I'll consider your request. Tears streamed down my face. My heart twisting in agony. But for Mark's sake, I did as she asked. After that, my life was completely ruined. I couldn't take public transport. Going to the grocery store became an ordeal. My job had already sent me a termination letter. I was a puppet trapped in my bedroom. But when I thought of Mark, it felt worth it. His case was at a critical juncture. We couldn't afford any mistakes. I had asked him before if we should just tell Dahlia the truth. But he had insisted it was too dangerous. He said that as soon as the case was closed, and the criminals were behind bars, we would explain everything to her and she would understand. I realized now how naive we were to have faith in her. One day I was scrolling through the news and saw it. Talia had taken down the online post, but she had printed it out as a flyer and was handing it out to people on the street. The moment I saw it, I ran out of the house to stop her. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic prayer repeating in my head. Please let him be okay. Please let him be okay. When I found her, she was as defiant as ever, methodically handing out the last of her flyers. A small crowd had gathered, curiously reading the papers in their hands. A few had been dropped, scattered by the wind. The scene drove me mad. Stop it, Dahlia. Stop. But she ignored me, launching into a detailed account of my crimes. For the curious onlookers. I didn't care anymore. I lunged forward, trying to snatch the flyers from her hand. We grappled, a messy, undignified scuffle. She grabbed my hair, pulling hard, refusing to let go. I don't know how long we fought before my phone rang. It was Mark's unit. My worst fear had come true. My hand was trembling so hard I could barely answer the phone. It felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Ma'am, it's about Agent Dalton. There's been an incident. I was too late. The words hung in the air, sharp and final, slicing through the chaos of the scuffle like a knife. I froze, my fingers still tangled in Dahlia's flyer string hands, the crinkling paper forgotten beneath my nails. The crowd around us fell silent, their curious murmurs dying into a tense hush. Dahlia's grip loosened, a flicker of confusion crossing her cold face. Confusion, not concern. She didn't know. She had no idea. The monster she'd unleashed with her self-righteous crusade. What? My voice cracked barely a whisper above the hum of the distant traffic. The phone slipped from my trembling hand, clattering to the pavement. But I didn't dare move to pick it up. My eyes were fixed on the officer's voice, tinny and distant through the cracked screen, as if it were coming from another world. What kind of incident? Is he alive? There was a pause on the other end, a beat of silence that stretched into an eternity. The officer's tone softened, but it was a softness that brought no comfort, only dread. Ma'am, I'm sorry. Agent Dalton's cover was compromised. He was ambushed last night on his way to a safe house. He's in critical condition. The hospital is asking for you to come immediately. Critical condition. The words echoed in my skull, a relentless drumbeat of terror. Compromised because of the flyers. Because of her. I looked up at Dahlia, my vision blurring with tears. Her eyes were wide now, but not with guilt, with indignation. What's this? Some kind of trick to get me to stop? You're even more pathetic than I thought. Mom. Using a fake phone call to play the victim. Crowd murmured again, this time with skepticism. A woman in the front row clicked her tongue. Typical. She'll do anything to weasel out of taking responsibility. Another voice joined in harsher. Shame on you. Your daughter's just trying to do the right thing. Their words washed over me, but I barely heard them. All I could think about was Mark lying in a hospital bed, fighting for his life because his own daughter had outed him to the very criminals he'd spent 3 years hunting. I stepped forward, my legs shaking so badly I could barely stand, and grabbed Dahlia by the shoulders. My fingers dug into her thin sweater, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she flinched. This is not a trick, I said, my voice raw and ragged. That man you've been calling my lover, he's your father. Mark Dalton is your dad. The words hung in the air, heavy and unignorable. For a second, the world stood still. Alia's eyes went blank, as if she couldn't process what I just said. Then her face twisted into a snarl of disbelief. Liar. My dad is a hero. He left to do something important. Not to run around with a woman like you. He left to protect us. I shouted. The words tearing themselves from my throat. The crowd gasped. Some stepped back. Their expressions shifting from judgment to curiosity. I didn't care who heard. I didn't care about the whispers or the stares anymore. The secret that had been eating me alive for 3 years was finally out, and it was time for her to face the truth. He's an undercover agent, Delia. He's been working on a top-secret international case. Cracking a ring of arms dealers who kill without mercy. We couldn't tell you the truth. Because if we did, they would have come for you. For all of us. I reached into my pocket. My hands fumbling with the small, worn photo I kept there. A picture of Mark and Dahlia. Taken on her 10th birthday. Her tiny arms wrapped around his neck. Both of them grinning like fools. I held it out to her, the edges frayed from years of being tucked away. Look at this. Look at him. He's the man you idolized. The man you counted the days for. He's not some strange man. He's your father. And you just put a target on his back. Dahlia stared at the photo. Her lips trembling. For a moment I saw a flicker of the little girl she used to be. The photograph in my hand felt heavy, like a stone. Dahlia stared at it, her eyes darting from the creases in the paper to my face, then back to the photo. The crowd around us, previously buzzing with the thrill of public shaming, had grown uncomfortably quiet. The wind kicked up, scattering the flyers she had dropped, dozens of accusations tumbling down the asphalt like dead leaves. It's Photoshop, she whispered, but her voice lacked the venom it held moments ago. It was thin, brittle. You faked it. Get in the car, I said. The rage was gone, replaced by a cold, numbing efficiency. I didn't wait for her. I turned and walked toward our battered sedan. Mom? She sounded 5 years old again. Mom, where are you going? To see your father. If he's still there. I didn't look back. I heard the scuff of her sneakers against the pavement, the hesitation, and then the frantic footsteps as she ran to catch up. She slid into the passenger seat just as I turned the ignition. Her flyers were still clutched in her hand. She looked down at them, at the bold text, adulterer. Traitor. I ripped the car out of the parking spot, tires screeching. The drive to St. Jude's Hospital was a blur of red lights ran and speed limits ignored. My phone sat in the cup holder, silent. That silence was worse than the ringing. The officer said he was hurt. Dahlia asked. She was pressing herself against the door, trying to get as far away from me as possible. Ambushed, I said, keeping my eyes on the road. Because the people he was hunting found out who he was. Because of a flyer. Because of a post. I didn't know, she cried out, her voice cracking. How was I supposed to know? You told me he left us. You said. I said he was on assignment. I slammed my hand on the steering wheel. I told you to trust us. But you wanted to be the victim so bad, Dahlia. You wanted the likes. You wanted the sympathy. I wanted my dad, she screamed back, tears finally spilling over. Well, congratulations, I whispered, pulling into the emergency bay. You found him. The hospital smelled of bleach and old coffee. The receptionist looked up, annoyed, until I flashed Mark's badge, the one I kept in my purse for emergencies only. Dalton, I choked out. Mark Dalton. Or John Miller. He might be under Miller. Before she could answer, a set of double doors burst open. A man in a gray suit, looking disheveled and exhausted, strode toward us. It was Agent Vance, Mark's handler. I had only met him once, 3 years ago, in a dark car parked 2 blocks from our house. Sarah, Vance said. His face was grim. He looked at Dahlia, and his expression hardened into something ugly. Is this her? I nodded. Vance stepped forward, towering over my daughter. Do you have any idea what you've done? Dahlia shrank back. We spent 3 years building that legend, Vance hissed, ignoring the people in the waiting room. 3 years of weaving a cover so tight that the Sinaloa cartel couldn't poke a hole in it. And you blew it apart in 48 hours for internet clout. Is he alive? I interrupted, stepping between them. Vance looked at me, his shoulders sagging. He's in surgery. 3 gunshot wounds. 1 to the shoulder, 1 to the abdomen, 1 to the thigh. He lost a lot of blood before we could extract him. I want to see him, I said. You can't. Not yet. And we can't stay here. Vance checked his watch. The post you made? The one with his face. It didn't just alert the locals. The facial recognition software the cartel uses picked it up. They know he's a cop. They know he's hurt. And they know he's at St. Jude's. My blood ran cold. They're coming here. We have a transport team en route, Vance said. We're moving him to a black site facility in 20 minutes. You two are coming with us. Your house isn't safe. Your lives, as you know them, are over. Dahlia made a sound, a high-pitched whimper. She looked at her phone, which she was still clutching. Give me that, Vance commanded. He snatched the phone from her hand and dropped it into a glass of water sitting on the receptionist's desk. Hey! Dahlia shouted. They can track the GPS, Vance said, not even looking at her. Welcome to the real world, kid. The wait felt like an eternity, though it was only 15 minutes. We were ushered into a private family room. Dahlia sat in the corner, knees pulled to her chest. She was shaking. I couldn't look at her. If I looked at her, I would scream, and I didn't have the energy left to scream. Finally, a doctor entered, flanked by 2 armed guards. Mrs. Dalton, the doctor said. He's stable. For now. We've stopped the internal bleeding, but he's in a medically induced coma. His body needs to rest. Can I see him? Briefly. Before transport. They led us down a corridor that had been cleared of other patients. At the end of the hall, behind glass, lay a man I barely recognized. Mark had lost weight. His hair was gray at the temples. His face was swollen, covered in bruises, and a tube was snaked down his throat. I pressed my hand against the glass. Oh, Mark, I breathed. I felt a presence beside me. Dahlia. She looked at the man in the bed, the hero she claimed to worship. Daddy, she whispered. The machine beeped steadily. Beep. 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 He looks so old, she said, her voice trembling. He gave up his life for us, I said, my eyes fixed on his chest rising and falling. He lived in filth, surrounded by murderers, pretending to be one of them. All so we could sleep in our beds. All so you could go to school and complain about your allowance. Dahlia turned to me, her face wet with tears. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. Don't tell me, I said, finally looking at her. The anger was still there, a hard knot in my chest. Tell him. When he wakes up. If he wakes up. Suddenly, the lights in the hallway flickered. Vance's radio crackled. Perimeter breach. South entrance. We have hostiles. Vance grabbed my arm. We're moving. Now. What about Mark? I screamed as he pulled me away from the glass. Team Bravo is securing the package. We need to get you to the exit. I'm not leaving him. If you stay, you're a liability. Vance shouted, drawing his weapon. Move. The hospital turned into a war zone in seconds. The fire alarm began to blare, a deafening pulse of sound. We ran down the sterile corridor, Vance leading the way, 2 other agents behind us. Dahlia was gripping my hand so hard her nails dug into my skin. We reached the stairwell just as the elevator doors pinged open behind us. I glanced back and saw 3 men in tactical gear, not police gear. They raised assault rifles. Down. Vance shoved us through the stairwell door just as the glass shattered, spraying us with shards. The sound of gunfire was deafening in the concrete echo chamber of the stairs. We scrambled down, flight after flight. Dahlia tripped, skinning her knees, but she scrambled up without a word. The arrogance, the defiance, it was all gone. She was just a terrified child now. We burst out into the underground parking garage. A black SUV was waiting, engine running. Get in. Vance roared. We dove into the back seat. Vance jumped in the front passenger side. Go. 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 The driver floored it. As we sped up the ramp, another car, a sedan, slammed into our side. Metal crunched, glass flew. We spun out, tires smoking, but the armored SUV held its ground. The driver corrected, slamming the sedan into a concrete pillar, and we shot out into the daylight. I looked back. No one was following us yet. I turned to Dahlia. She was curled in a ball, hyperventilating. Breathe, I commanded, grabbing her face. Dahlia, look at me. Breathe. I killed him, she gasped. They're going to kill him. The agents are with him, I lied. I didn't know if they were. We have to stay alive. That's our job now. The safe house was a cabin in the mountains, 3 hours north of the city. It was cold, dusty, and silent. There was no internet, no cell service, just a landline that Vance monitored like a hawk. For 2 days, we waited. Dahlia didn't eat. She sat by the window, staring at the tree line. I tried to make soup from the canned goods in the pantry, but the smell made me nauseous. On the second night, I found Dahlia sitting on the floor in front of the fireplace, holding the charred remains of the family photo she had cut up weeks ago. She must have had the pieces in her pocket. Why didn't you just tell me, she asked softly. I sat down on the rug opposite her. Because we knew you couldn't keep a secret, Dahlia. She flinched as if I'd slapped her. That's not fair. Isn't it? I asked tiredly. Look at what happened. You didn't just tell a secret. You broadcasted it. You investigated. You dug. I thought you were hurting him, she insisted, her eyes flashing with a spark of her old spirit. I thought I was protecting his honor. You were protecting your own ego, I said. You couldn't handle the idea that your perfect life was cracking, so you needed a villain. And I was the easiest target. She looked down. I wanted to hurt you. Because I thought you hurt us. And now. Now I know that I'm the villain, she whispered. I sighed, the fight draining out of me. I scooted over and wrapped my arm around her. She stiffened, then melted into me, sobbing into my shoulder. It was the first time we had hugged in 2 years. We can't fix the past, I said, stroking her hair. We can only pray we get a future. The phone rang. The sound cut through the room like a knife. Vance picked it up. He listened for a long time, his face unreadable. He hung up and turned to us. They moved him to a military base, Vance said. He's awake. I let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for days. Oh, thank God. But, Vance continued, he's asking for you. And we have a problem. The leak, it went deeper than we thought. The cartel has a bounty on all 3 of you. $5 million. So we can never go home, Dahlia said dully. No, Vance said. But we have a plan to end it. We're going to use the bounty against them. The plan was madness. Mark, from his hospital bed, had coordinated it. He knew the psychology of the men he was hunting. They were arrogant. They wanted to send a message. The plan required us to show ourselves. We were transported to a secure airstrip. The story was leaked that the family was being moved to witness protection in Europe. The cartel would try to intercept us on the tarmac. I stood in the hangar, wearing a bulletproof vest under my coat. Dahlia stood next to me. She looked older, harder. You don't have to do this, I told her. You can stay in the armored room. No, she said. I started this. I'm seeing it through. The hangar doors opened. A private jet sat waiting. We walked toward it, exposed. It felt like walking underwater. Every instinct in my body screamed to run and hide. Suddenly, 3 SUVs tore onto the tarmac, bypassing the security checkpoint. Men with guns poured out. Now. Vance's voice echoed in my earpiece. We dropped to the ground. From the shadows of the hangar, a tactical team emerged. But not just a SWAT team. It was Mark's unit. And in the center, in a wheelchair, holding a sidearm, was Mark. He looked terrible, pale, bandaged, weak. But his aim was steady. The firefight lasted less than a minute. The cartel hitmen were surrounded, outgunned, and outmaneuvered. They had walked into a kill box. When the smoke cleared, Mark wheeled himself toward us. I ran to him, falling to my knees beside the chair, careful not to touch his wounds. You idiot, I sobbed. You should be in bed. Couldn't let you have all the fun, he rasped. He looked past me. Dahlia. Dahlia stood 10 feet away, unable to move. She looked at her father, the man she had worshipped, the man she had betrayed, the man who had just saved her life. Dad, she choked out. Come here, he said softly. She walked forward slowly, like she was approaching a wild animal. When she was close enough, he reached out his good hand and took hers. I'm sorry, she wailed, collapsing to her knees. I'm so sorry, Dad. I didn't mean it. I know, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I know, sweetie. We made mistakes too. We should have trusted you. No, she shook her head. You were right not to. We're alive, Mark said, looking at me. That's what matters. We're alive. The legal fallout was immense. Dahlia was a minor, which saved her from prison, but the investigation was grueling. We spent months in debriefings. The house was sold. Our names were changed. We moved to a small town in Oregon. Rain, pine trees, and anonymity. Mark recovered, but his career was over. The injuries left him with a permanent limp and nerve damage in his hand. He spent his days woodworking in the garage, a quiet, meditative peace settling over him. Dahlia changed the most. She deleted every social media account she had. She stopped caring about clothes, about popularity. She got a job at a local library, shelving books in silence. She spent her evenings studying, obsessed with law. One evening, a year later, I found her on the porch, watching the rain. You okay? I asked, handing her a mug of tea. I saw a post today, she said. Some girl from my old school. Talking about how much she hates her parents. How they're ruining her life because they won't let her go to a concert. Did you comment? She shook her head. No. I just turned it off. She took a sip of tea. Mom? Yeah. I don't think I can ever forgive myself. You don't have to forgive yourself yet, I said. Just do better. Every day. That's the penance. You live a good life. You become a person worthy of the sacrifice your father made. She nodded slowly. I'm going to apply to the academy. When I'm old enough. I looked at her, the steel in her spine, the seriousness in her eyes. The vacuous, attention-seeking girl was dead. In her place was someone stronger, scarred but real. Your father would be proud, I said. And you? She asked, looking at me with a vulnerability I hadn't seen since she was a toddler. Are you proud? I thought about the flyers. The vicious words. The danger. But then I looked at the woman sitting before me, who had walked through fire and come out the other side. I'm getting there, I said honestly. I'm getting there. Inside the house, I heard the hum of Mark's saw stop. He laughed at something on the radio. The smell of sawdust and rain filled the air. We were broken, glued back together, and scarred. But we were a family. And for the first time in 3 years, the silence wasn't heavy. It was just peace.